Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. Do you ever just want to rip all of the cards out of your opponent's hand? Well, have I got the deck for you? It's Labyrinth. Labyrinth is an archetype that's well, you know the spiel, right? You've seen this before. You know what Labyrinth does. Let's be honest with ourselves. If you don't know what Labyrinth does in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where have you been? How have you not played against this? Basically, the idea is you use their monsters that gain effects by activating normal traps to gain advantage. Or, more specifically, the normal monsters gain effects when a monster is removed by card effect. Or normal trap effect. So, I should just say the cards gain effects. So what we are doing to pair with that is a whole bunch of normal traps, but one of the traps that you can utilize is something like Eradicator Epidemic Virus to rip cards out of your opponent's hand while also triggering the effects, which is pretty cool. So let's quickly do the card by card. No, I'm not playing Floodgates because honestly, yes, you could play Floodgates, but you really don't need to. And in all honesty, most of the time, they're not actually all that useful. Yes, they do hurt other players and other decks more, but the thing is, they don't help you, at all. Just play your game plan and you should be good. Moving on. We're starting off with Absolute King Backjack. This card is very nice, and if you're not playing it, you are a fool. This card is very good because of Ghastly Glitch. You can send it off of Ghastly Glitch, and then you can stack your deck to draw whatever you may need to, while also giving you access to a potential additional trap that your opponent can't just, Harpy's Feather Duster away. So it's very nice. Next up, we have two each of Stovey Torby as well as Chandelier. Both of these are able to get you additional access to Welcome Labyrinth or the Field Spell. So these are very nice. You discard them as well as another card to set a card. And since they are quick effects that you can utilize on the opponent's turn, you can do this in order to gain access to a Welcome Labyrinth on your starting turn, even if you're going second, which is very nice. We're playing one Ariane. This card is nice to help OTK more efficiently, which is why we're playing it. So if you have access to a Welcome Labyrinth, you can go Ariane to special summon and then go into one of your Xyz. It also gives you access to your Xyz as well, so there you go. We have triple Oriana because it's the best searcher in the deck, so of course we're playing 3 of this one. We also have the double Labyrinth, or Lady Labyrinth, Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, whatever. The big boss monster of the deck and the one that you want to send away with Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and just all in all, a solid card. Being able to recur the advantage by bringing back a trap is also very nice. As for, we have one more Labyrinth card, that being Labrynth, or I guess technically 2, sorry. This one is very nice. It allows you to use your Welcome Labyrinth to pop a card, while also giving you access to additional recursion by being able to special summon a monster if you activate a non-Labyrinth trap, which is very nice. So just a good card to have in general. You can even, if you have a Stovey Torby and a Chandelier on the opponent's turn, you can go activate both of them in order to set this and this, flip this up as your first action, and then activate the Welcome Labyrinth in order to pop a card on the field while also getting your monster into rotation. It's not the greatest, but it's something that you can do. Moving on, we have, of course, the Welcome Labyrinth as well, which just special summons a monster from the deck, and then if this one's up, you can also pop a card. Then, if a monster leaves the field due to a normal traps effect, a monster leaves the field due to a normal traps effect, you can set this card again. Pretty nice. Yeah, that's basically it for the Labyrinth cards. As for the rest of the monsters, we are playing the double Pank as well as the triple Lord of the Heavenly Prisons. We're playing Pank because we need something to help us going second, and this just happens to be the best card. You could argue evenly matched is better or something along those lines, but I find Pank to be very nice because it is also a monster that allows us access to just board wipes, or not board wipes, but heavy board pressure without having to commit to a normal summon, and it doesn't require our battle phase or anything like that. So we can still utilize our battle phase if we need to. That's not too important, but I just like it because, it's a big monster, and being able to stick a big monster on the field is, at least in my eyes, more important than something like an evenly matched. Next up, we have the triple Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is absolutely insane. You flip it, or you reveal it, and then your traps are protected, which is very strong. And then on top of that, you are able to activate its effect in order to set something like an epidemic virus or a Pot of Extravagance, which is crazy. As for the other spell that we are playing, we're just playing the Pot of Extrav, because we don't really need the extra deck. It does come up occasionally, specifically these three, and Entis occasionally as well because of the Dogmatic Punishments that we are playing, but other than that, it's not all that important. For the traps, we are playing double Torrential Tribute. We are playing triple Compulse. Compulse is absolutely insane in this deck. We're playing the 2 Eradicator, the 1 Trap Trick, because sometimes it's nice to get like Trap Trick into Eradicator into activate the effect, or whatever else you may need. It's also nice to set off of the Judgment, or off of the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Then, of course, we have the double Punishment, the double Ice Dragon's Prison, triple Welcome Labyrinth, double Ghastly Glitch, and the 1 Solemn Judgment. This could be bumped up to 2. I just wanted to play an even 40-card deck, and I couldn't really find something that I could cut, or something more specifically that I wanted to cut. Yeah, I mean, I want 2 of each of the traps because of the Trap Trick that's in here, and the Trap Trick is important. And then, of course, like, we can also just set this off of Solemn Judgment, or off of the Lord there, so there's that. As for the extra deck, the only things that really matter are the Entis. You should probably play multiple of this so that your punishment is more online, and then the, well, these 2 in particular. The Abyss Dweller might come up later, but as of right now, it's not all that important. Also, Link Karibo. Because this guy's a level 1, being able to go Link Karibo, send this guy to the graveyard in order to cycle it is very important. You should probably play 2 if you're playing the Pot of Extrav, so there you go. But let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and look at that hand, it's gorgeous, a set 5 pass. So yeah, we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and I know what you're thinking, why did I say set 5 pass if I'm only going to set 3? Well, the problem is, Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm both exist in this format because reasons, I don't know. So yeah, we have to play around that, of course. So my opponent is playing Mutants. Mutants are such a cool archetype. I'm really, I just really like them, so they're very cool. My opponent is going to Ash, of course, the Welcome Labyrinth, which does kind of turn it off. But we still have Trap Trick to get into the other Welcome Labyrinth, and we just draw the Ariana anyway, so who cares? So we're going to activate the Ariana, out comes the Imperm, and I'm actually going to Torrential my own Ariana here, so that we can actually gain access to the Labyrinth, which will then also trigger my Welcome Labyrinth to just set itself. That's also why we go for the Labyrinth here, because it's like, well, this card's coming back. We're getting a search here anyway. So yeah, there you go. And then we still have the 3 set, and I'm feeling pretty good. Even without the Trap Trick, I think we should be fine. Realistically, I should have set this, but again, I'm still playing around the Harpy's Feather Duster, just in case they ended up drawing it, right? Out comes M05, and they're going to search out the Mutant. Realistically, as soon as this came down, I should have bounced it back to hand with Compulse. That's a mistake on my part, because this does give them access to the Mutant to be able to special summon itself. Out comes the Welcome Labyrinth now, and I'm going to pop the M05, and now we can go for the Lovely Labyrinth. We're going to go for the Lovely Labyrinth, and I should have actually activated the effect to pop the card on field. That's my bad. It just like says, hey, do you want to pop a card in the hand? And I always click yes, because I'm like, yes, I do want to activate the effect, because, you know, everything else is activated that way. But yeah, there's a little bit of a mistake for me. Anyway, they're going to go, we actually end up hitting Mutant Cry, which was pretty good for us. But now we can go for our Ice Dragon's Prison, because they have a Psychic, and then out comes Mutant Cry. Now, notably, this is a beast, so Ice Dragon's Prison actually wouldn't have done much there. Oops. But alas, they're still going to go for the Mutant Cry here. They're going to banish, shuffle back the 2 monsters in order to go for Synthesis. Now, notably, Synthesis doesn't really do much because of the fact that, we can't really do much against it, even though we have the Compulse, because it can just protect itself. So, there's that. However, a monster did leave the field due to a normal Trap's effect, so we get a Reborn here. So out comes the Ariana. Ariana's effect is going to activate, and we're going to search to our hand the Chandelier. Or, yeah. Yes, I believe that's what happened. Anyway, they're going to activate the second Evolution Lab to grab up the Spell Trap, and then we are going to bounce the Spell Trap that they had, and then they are going to activate its effect in order to draw a card, and they draw into, I believe, Fusion. They might have already had that, but they did cycle a card, so maybe they drew into it. And, yeah, they're going to banish 3 in order to go for the Mutant Ultimateness, or Ultimus. pretty scary, but I think we should be fine. We still have Trap Trick, we have the Chandelier, we have Ariana as well, and we have some pretty good cards in the grave as well. So we're just going to set to 2 and pass, not really much more that we can do here. However, this honestly is not all that big of a problem if we have specifically 2 traps. If we didn't draw that second trap, it would have been more of a problem, because they just banish and negate, and so it's not like we can activate the Chandelier, because they're just going to negate that, but yeah. We're going to pass the turn. They are going to go immediately to battle, and I'm like, okay, great. So I'm going to start off with the Ice Dragon's Prison. They have to respond to this because this is a Psychic, and the card that I targeted was, in fact, a Psychic. So if they didn't, they just get banished, and out comes the Trap Trick. So now we can go for the combos here and just bounce their monster away, which also will trigger our Ariana. This will activate its effect as well as the Welcome Labyrinth in Grave. I forgot about that one. And we draw into the Judgment, and I'm just going to set that. And now they know about Judgment, but them setting a card means that the game is now over. Because basically what I do is I flip up the Welcome Labyrinth, we get out the Lovely Lady, we activate Lovely Lady's effect. It didn't really matter that we drew this, but I mean, now we have Lethal on field, so we're going to normal summon this guy and just proceed to battle. My opponent is going to flip up their Mutant expansion. I'm just going to say no to that. Not really any point in playing this out. And yeah, that is lethal. Good game. Alright, so here we are once again going first, and we drew Lord of the Heavenly Prison as well as Pot of Extrav, which is very nice. So we're going to start off with Pot of Extrav, and we're going to activate that in order to draw 2, and okay, never mind, we're not doing any of that. But that's okay, because now we know that they don't have the Ash Blossom. So I'm actually going to just go for the Ariane here that we happened to draw to special summon out our Ariana. Ariana is then going to search Labyrinth, and we are going to make Baguska! Woo, Baguska! Yeah, plan B. We're going to activate the Labyrinth, and set the Trap Trick, and pass. Yeah, my opponent passes the turn. Fantastic. I'm going to activate the Trap Trick. We're going to grab ourselves the Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This will then trigger them to reveal that they are on Runick, and I see now why they decided to do this. Anyway, out comes the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. We're going to sell the Welcome Labyrinth. They're going to banish some cards. Doesn't really matter. They're going to pop our Welcome Labyrinth, which is funny because it doesn't matter. We're just going to deal with all of their spell cards. They're going to cross out Designate the Maxi because it's funny, I guess. Well, now we know the contents of their hand is a red and a Lava Golem, but they only really had Smashers, so, oops. Anyway, away goes the Welcome Labyrinth, and not really much more I can do here. So, I draw into Stovey Torby and just decide to pass. There's not really a whole lot that I can do. I just kind of have to hope that they don't draw a 2, because, okay, they drew the Smiting Storm, fantastic. That goes away. They're just going to pass. Not really anything. I don't think that there is a single thing that they could do. Realistic, I mean, they could technically summon the red, but that doesn't really help. Again, we're just going to... Oh, sorry. We're actually going to activate the effect here to go for the Welcome Labyrinth. I'm going to switch this guy into attack position because he's no longer needed in defense and just deal a bit of damage. Out comes Slumber. Well, we still know that they don't have anything, so at this point the game should be effectively over. Yay, Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Isn't it so cool? Anyway, I'm going to pop my own monster here so that it triggers the, well, a whole bunch of things, as you can see. So we're going to rip a card out of their hand. We're going to add a card back to our hand. We are going to summon a monster, and we are going to reset a card. We actually hit the red, which is probably the best hit that we could have had, and we're going to draw into the Ghastly Glitch. And at this point, the game is more or less over because now we get to reset the Eradicator Epidemic Virus every turn, and yeah, that's effectively the end of the game. Alright, this deck is really adept at going first, so of course I'm just going to show you how many times we go first, but alas, we drew a pretty decent hand, and of course my opponent just shotguns the Max C. Now honestly, there is a reason to start activating the Max C in draw or standby, and that is to play around Triple Tactics Talents. Triple Tactics Talents is seeing a lot more play as of late, due to combat, like, more hand traps and like blue and stuff like that. Anyway, like the Splight stuff, more or less. But yeah, that's just been seeing more play with more combo decks being prevalent. And so in order to combat that, you activate this in the standby phase before actually seeing what they're going to do. And yeah, it ends up hurting this guy here. So we're going to draw 2 and then go for the Ariana. We have an incredible hand. Solemn Judgment, Torrential Tribute, Eradicator Epidemic, and Welcome Labyrinth is pretty decent. So they're going to draw for a turn, and hey, you're not allowed to do that. We're going to summon out our Lovely Lady, and then activate the effect of the Huh? I'm sorry, hold on. Was that all monsters? Yep, that's right, they were on plants. They're on plants, and it's all monsters. We called spell, it didn't matter because they didn't have anything. Whoops. Anyway, we're going to summon back our monster. Realistically, I don't think that we should have done that there, and you'll see why in a second. But yeah, out comes the Rikka Petal. They're going to then go into the Dryas. They're going to activate the Parallel Exceed. Parallel Exceed is going to activate its effect in order to special summon another monster. And then they are going to go into the Rikka Queen Strenna. At this point, I'm like, yeah, I can't really do that. So we're going to wipe the entire field. That's why I shouldn't have summoned the lovely Labyrinth here and should have waited until I activated the Torrential. We draw into Chandelier, so it didn't matter, never punished. And we get to activate the Backtrack to stack our deck, and I believe I put a trap on the top, so we should be fine. Out comes the Rikka Petal once again, and they are going to reveal that they drew Maxi. Hilarious. I'm just going to shotgun this guy so that we can activate our Welcome Labyrinth whenever we need to, and we also have Compulse as well. Activate the Rikka Petal, they do, and then they are going to go for the Mudon here to tribute summon, or to tribute in order to special summon, and then they can grab the Con. Now, Con is not a card that we can deal with. More specifically, it is a card that we can deal with, but it is a card that we don't like. Con is an absolutely powerful card, so of course we are going to pop it with the Welcome Labyrinth. Welcome Labyrinth's effect is going to activate, we're going to pop their card, and then for some reason they also decided to just not activate their Maxi. I don't know why, but sure, whatever. We're also going to Compulse their monster back to the hand, which will trigger our lovely Labyrinth, as well as a whole bunch of other things. And now they Maxi, which is hilarious, because I'm not actually... I guess I am special summoning off of the Labyrinth, but... okay. They draw Ash Blossom, which is funny. And then we pop the Nibiru, which totally would have done something. And then also... Of course, they Ash the Ariana as soon as it comes out. I see them normal summon the Lone Fire, and I can't really let that resolve. Well, I could... But you get the point, not really something that would be a good idea to let resolve, because them just having a monster on the field while still having access to the other summon is not a good idea. So we just negate that with the Judgment. Anyway, this should be some pretty easy cleanup. We know everything that they have in hand, so at this point it's just figuring out lethal. So I'm going to deal as much damage as I can. I'm actually going to pop my own Chandelier here as well to rip another card out of their hand, as well as potentially get more advantage. While it does put them higher on life points, I think that we are overall in a better position. We pop the Mudan. We are going to activate the effect in order to go into the Ariana. And we've already activated Ariana's effect, so we can't really do that again. And we're just going to punch for a bunch of damage. Now, we would have been 200 off anyway, so it wouldn't really have mattered even if we had gone for the Chandelier here. So who cares? I'm going to go for the Baguska because it's funny, and it really does prevent them from being able to activate like anything. Yeah, they can go for like Aromaseraphy, but at that point, you know, we have like a million outs to it. They activate the effect because it's funny, I guess, and then they're going to special summon out their two monsters and activate again to try and modulate the level, but no. And then out comes the Aromaseraphy Jasmine, and we are going to bounce that back to hand. And at this point, the game is over, but they just sit here for ages. Legitimately, they sat here and slow played for, like, the longest time, right? They didn't change. They went through each phase, and each phase, they took, like, an additional 2 minutes just to do nothing. So, yeah, they're just slow playing at this point, and we just switch everything to attack position. I'm not going to waste my opponent's time, even though they are going to waste mine, and then they decide to surrender instead of actually taking the damage, because they're an asshole. So, this build is basically the same as the build that I have used previously, but I did change one card, and that was Trap Trick. I think I took out, like, the third Torrential or something along those lines. All in all, this deck is still very strong, and is just incredible. I think I should realistically be playing multiple Solemn Judgments instead of, like, Dogmatica Punishment. I don't think Punishment nearly is nearly as useful, dear Lanta. There's that. You could also play Terror of the Overroot, which is a card that exists. Let me see if I can find it. Where? Terrors. Terrors of the Overroot is a pretty good card. Being able to just, like, cycle a card. The reason that I'm not playing it is, one, it's a UR, but more importantly, I just don't think it's all that good. Target a card your opponent controls and a card in their graveyard. Send the first to the graveyard, set the other one. It's nice, but it still can give your opponent advantage depending on what they have engraved. And more importantly, I think that there are just better options. Like, Terrors of the Overroot is nice, but it's not necessarily something that I would play over something like Torrential, or even Dogmatica Punishment. Dogmatica Punishment just happens to be sometimes a pop 2, which is way more valuable than, like, giving your opponent a card back. So, there's that. And I'd also obviously played Judgment over that card as well. I mean, Trap Trick is more advantageous. I wouldn't necessarily cut down on the monsters as well. So there's just like better options. But all in all, I really do like this deck. I think that it's very interesting, and the way that it interacts. I know a lot of people don't like traps just in general by some bias, I guess, like floodgates they don't like. But honestly, trap cards are incredibly interactive and one of the more interesting parts of the game, because they are specifically cards that you have to set and are not immediately active, which makes them a lot more interesting, but they also make them a lot more powerful because of that restriction inherent to the game. So, you know, if a monster had the effect of Ice Dragon's Prison, you'd be insane, right? But because it is specifically a trap, it's not. That makes sense. So it's pretty cool. I like the deck. I hope that you guys do as well. If you did indeed enjoy the episode, please leave a like and all of that stuff. And if you want to see more, just remember, if you want to see more content like this as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Wow, I'm tired. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.